Productive motivation is critical to successful teamwork. When we are not motivated to be productive, we are not simply demotivated. We default to a set of motivations that read like a list of deadly sins: fear, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. These are not passive absence of motivation, but an active negative force.
Well, an effective team is one that will work together to avoid, trap and mitigate error and threats. So threat and error management came from the said Professor Helmreich years ago at University of Texas. And in an ideal world, you'd avoid everything that could possibly go wrong. And we suggest in healthcare you do this by having effective team meetings beforehand, a briefing before an operating theatre, handover at the start of a ward shift or other area, to share situation awareness, in other words, the plan for the day, and to prepare yourself for what could conceivably go wrong.
We will look at a few of the specific means of promoting team member motivation. The term buy-in is a bit of management speak that means someone agrees with the value of what they are being asked to do. To get buy-in, team members should know what team's goals are and why they matter, and agree with them. It obviously helps if they do matter. When team members do not buy into something, there is usually a good reason that should be accounted for, hence the value of team discussion of plans over dictation. Management schemes usually fail if workers see no point in them. Team members are motivated by clear explanations of where their particular task fits into the overall objective and why it is important. It is common to find conflicts where different team members buy into different agendas. One of these is common to all industries, but particularly prominent in healthcare: political versus technical. Political motivation leads people to concentrate on improving the image and performance of their organisation to the population at large. Technical motivation leads people to reduce the impact of disease on individual patients as far as possible. The technically motivated can see politically motivated as expedient and self-serving, whereas the politically motivated can see the technically motivated as narrow and naive. Frontline staff tend to be technically motivated, whereas senior managers tend to be politically motivated, leading to a form of conflict you probably recognise. Such conflicts are resolved by both sides understanding the other's position. If you find yourself on one side of such conflict, make a conscious effort to understand the other point of view before explaining your own. We all like to feel appreciated. It makes us feel more valued and in turn more motivated to do the best we can. Thanking someone for a job well done is perhaps obvious, but often overlooked. It is difficult to do this up the authority gradient. Where possible, show people they are appreciated by involving them in tasks and decisions appropriate to their experience and skills. Delegating and involving team members in decisions or tasks that require their skills is a great way to make them feel appreciated.
It's really interesting. If you do as we do when we run classroom courses, we always start them by saying, what gives you a difficult day? And one of the things that comes up time and time again is nobody ever says thank you. And in particular, they never say thank you and what for. And I know from my own experience that if people say to you, thank you, Trevor, that was so useful it was so helpful when you did this or when you did that or when you stopped me doing something else. And all people tend to do is to tell you what you've done wrong. And it's such a wasted opportunity, because if you never tell people what it is they've done well, then they might stop doing it kind of by accident to change towards the critical feedback that you've had. It is such a wasted opportunity. But anyone who's done child development and teaching and training of youngsters knows that this is a crucial part of it. And in fact, those of us who've been on the receiving end know how important it is. So why don't we do more of it?
Throughout our careers, we acquire skills, both physical and mental, through frequent practice. Often we spend more time on things we enjoy, so we become good at the things we like doing. To take advantage of this, where possible, give people tasks that they enjoy. An obvious advantage is that tasks given to people who are good at them will be done well. And more importantly, it benefits the morale of the whole team if members are doing what they enjoy and are appreciated for it. Several attempts have been made to classify the roles people take within teams.
You need to know your team, and you need to get the person who's the most experienced. For instance, you've got a very difficult procedure to do. You probably want people who know what they're doing. But at the same time, you need to develop people into that. And I think if you don't ever give people the opportunity to develop and practice their skills under supervision, obviously under appropriate supervision, and in accordance with, shall we say, gentle development rather than really throwing them in the deep end, surely this is part of professional development and something that those of us who are in leadership roles should be demonstrating that we're happy to do that, and to, it's just a part of what I would call professional development.
The Belbin team inventory is one of the better known ones. Belbin proposed 9 roles for team members, some of which, like completer finisher, have entered popular language. The Belbin system is the basis of a commercial operation which uses an online questionnaire system called e-interplace to assess individuals' preferences for these roles. Its output is reports on optimal deployment within teams for individuals and organisations. It is one of several such systems on the market. Optimal skill deployment is one of the things done less well within healthcare. This is because it takes time for team members to get to know one another and what they're good at. Healthcare teams are constantly changing, so members often don't know each other well. The process can be speeded up by encouraging more open discussion about what tasks need to be done and who would like to do what. Demotivation can be mitigated by variation so that the individual team members do not always end up doing the same thing. The effects of varying roles and supervisor support have been extensively investigated in industrial settings. Healthcare has been slower to implement such practices. We know that team changes affect continuity of care, and this is a real issue within the healthcare professions. Many departments contain leading specialists in their fields and enjoy wide reputations for excellence. Too often, these departmental reputations collapse when these key individuals retire or move on.
Well, when I was a junior pilot in this country, anytime the weather was difficult or challenging conditions, crosswinds, low cloud base, the captain would do all the flying every time. They were very reluctant to give the co-pilots experience. But I flew for a foreign airline which had very, very senior pilots who'd seen it all, done it all themselves. And their response to difficult weather conditions was to say, "You're a young man, you're a fit young man, you do it. I'm too old for this stuff." And although it was done in a really rather jokey sort of way, the confidence it instilled in terms of saying, well, you're actually good enough to do this. It was fantastic in terms of developing me, not just for that time, but later when I became a captain myself and I felt more confident to give junior co-pilots more developmental experience. And I went on to become a fully fledged trainer in both the aircraft and the class, but also in simulation, where we could really stretch people. And that was just to see people develop by giving them the opportunity to practice. Fantastic.
Sharing skills when working together on a particularly demanding task can make the task easier and safer. It also means that learning is shared within the team. If tasks are always given to those who are best at them and their skills were developed accordingly, the senior members of the team would end up doing more, be busier, and end up more stressed than junior team members. So how do we address this? By recognising and optimising time use. If a junior or less able team member is underoccupied, then identifying an area to develop their skills will improve their engagement within the team. It's generally a good idea for all team members to know what the team is doing and what their role in the task is. Team briefings are routinely adopted in many safety-critical industries and normally take place at the start or end of a working day or shift. Maintaining and improving a team's performance as weeks, months and years pass is the purpose of process improvement. The single most important tool in process improvement is giving feedback. In many non-healthcare industries such as aviation, navigation and the military, feedback is formalised in debriefing sessions where team members meet at the completion of a task or a shift to discuss any problems that arose in a given situation. Moving forward, it means that errors can be identified and avoided in subsequent tasks, and anything that went well can be noted for future application.
I think there's a lot of evidence that says that teams that debrief regularly learn by example. They learn from their successes, they learn from their failures, but it very much instills a culture of development within the team. And there's a lot of evidence to suggest that these are high-performing teams, highly resilient and high-performing teams.
In many healthcare settings, formalised debriefing meetings are not practicable because the shifts or tasks of individual team members finish at different times, and there is no specific time when everyone is available at the same time. It is true to say that a team that uses a regular system of feedback will outperform a team that does not. Even if formal debriefing sessions are not practical, feedback should still be elicited and applied. This can be done using a hot debrief. In a hot debrief, any issue, whether positive or negative, is discussed at the first available opportunity after it occurs.